Now, the more difficult problem is the children. How could God command that the children be killed because these are innocent? And I think what I would want to say there is that God has the right to give and take life as he sees fit. Children die all the time, every day. People's lives are cut short. God is under no obligation whatsoever to prolong anyone's life another second. So he has the right to give and take life as he chooses. Moreover, if you believe, as I do, in the salvation of infants or children who die, what that meant was that the death of these children meant their salvation. They were the recipients of an infinite good as a result of their earthly phase of life being terminated. The problem is that people look at this from a naturalistic perspective and think life ends at the grave. But in fact, this was the salvation of these children and would be far better for them than continuing to be raised, say, in this reprobate Canaanite culture. So I don't think God wronged anybody in commanding this to be done. He didn't wrong the adults because they were deserving of capital punishment. He didn't wrong the children, if there were any that were killed, which we don't know, because God has the right to take their lives, and in fact, they were the recipients of a great good. So I don't think there was anybody that was morally wronged in this affair. So it seems to me that it is possible for God to do so. I think only one thing needs to be added, and that is that God had morally sufficient reasons for issuing such an extraordinary command. It needs to be understood as how extraordinary and out of the ordinary this command was. It is associated with the conquest of Canaan and the dispossession of the land and giving it to these people. And God, I think, had morally sufficient reasons for doing this because these people were due for judgment, and by issuing so harsh an object lesson to Israel, by using them as his instruments for bringing judgment in this way, he emphasized to them, as nothing else could do, how they were to be a holy people set apart for God himself, and not to follow after the pagan deities of Israel's neighbors, not to betray their faith and apostatize and follow these Canaanite gods like Baal and Molech and others. This was an object lesson to them to preserve Israel and the salvation of these people, through which, of course, the instrumentality of Israel, he would eventually bring the Christ into the world and effect the salvation of the entire world through Christ. So I think God had morally sufficient reasons for doing such an extraordinary thing, which is really unique and not something to be repeated or expected in any other time or age.